If you don't have a boat, but you want to start fishing tournaments, well, this video is for you. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Fish Talk, a show where I've got 5 minutes to discuss all things fishing. Now, we cover a lot of different subjects on this channel, but basically every single Friday, I'm going to cover a new one. So if you want to stay tuned, you better click the subscribe button below. Thank you very much. Let's get started. I just loaded 5 minutes on the timer here. Boop. Time to get real. Guys, we're talking about non-boaters, co-anglers, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the person that's fishing out of the back of the boat doesn't own the boat, and he's trying to compete and still catch fish. Now, there's a lot of information that I have for you today, and we've only got 5 minutes, but the first thing that I wanted to talk about is where do you start? You might be new to tournament fishing as a whole, and you don't even know where to start. Well, the first place that I would look is go to Google and type in local bass fishing club and then your area. And then if you cannot find one, just keep expanding out. But hopefully, there's so many dang bass fishing clubs out there. If you have any decent fishing, there should be one in your area. If there's not, you should try to start one. But the fact of the matter is there should be local tournament organizations where you can get in and fish as a non-boater or as a co-angler. Now, there's going to be different rules for all these different clubs, but sometimes you'll fish against the other co-anglers, sometimes you'll fish against the boaters, but that brings me to my next point. The number one thing you need to think about as a co-angler before any fishing techniques go, before any of that other stuff is respect, guys. Respecting your boater, respecting the person that owns the boat that you're fishing in, respecting their equipment, respecting their water, so on and so forth. You get the picture. That is the number one thing. So if you don't catch a single fish, but you treat your boater with pure respect, that's going to get you further in the grand scheme of things than going out there and catching 5 and really making him angry. Because people will hear, and then the next tournament you will get backboated, or people won't even want you to fish with them, so on and so forth. So just treat people with respect, and trust me, that will go a long ways. Now, I mean, the last thing we want to do is give all the co-anglers a bad rap, and then all of a sudden they're not even allowed in the tournaments you're fishing because all of the disrespect they're causing. So, you know, that's obviously the worst case scenario, but at the end of the day is, you know, some of these bass fishing organizations at a higher level don't really allow it anymore to the same degree as they used to because of those issues that the boaters were complaining about. So just make sure to think about that and be cognizant of that and treat your boater with respect. Now, aside from that, what qualifies me to talk about this? It's not like I'm fishing as a co-angler in a lot of tournaments, but the thing that I did do, I had this website, and it's not even up anymore. I actually just canceled it because I just did not have time for it. But I did have a lot of opportunities to talk to anglers out there and discuss co-angling as a whole, as a topic, as a niche in our market. So fishingtheback.com, which is not up anymore, there's still a Facebook page, but whatever. Anyways, the fact of the matter is that I got a lot of information out of very, very talented anglers about what it's like to fish out of the back of a boat behind pros, a lot of people on the FLW circuit. So, due to that, I think I have a kind of a unique perspective on this as a whole. And so with that, I want to get into techniques. And here's the big secret. There is no secret. At the end of the day, every single lake is going to fish different. Every single time of the year is going to fish different. The fact of the matter is you can only get so specific. Now, if you have specific questions, drop them in the comments below and I will try to help give my perspective on those to the best of my ability. But at the end of the day, the couple things you want to think about is this. Here's my quote for you. If you are trying to catch the same fish as your boater, give up now. End quote. Wow. What I mean by that is you cannot go behind your boater who's running a crankbait down the bank and he's catching these, whatever, let's say fall bass that are just moving and eating shad. Yes, you might catch a few fish doing the same thing behind him, but I would argue that you're going to catch more fish by trying to take his technique and apply it a little bit differently. It might be as simple as he's throwing a big 2.5-inch crankbait and you drop down to a 1.5-inch size, or vice versa, you actually go larger and you look for one big bite. But at the end of the day, is you cannot do the exact same thing as your boater and expect to catch fish. There will be times, don't get me wrong, that you do that, but more often than not, you will not. Aside from that, is one thing that I wanted to kind of discuss is ugly fishing. I'm going to call it ugly fishing. The reason I'm calling it ugly fishing is because it's not always going to be that pretty Bassmaster magazine specific way of catching a fish that you're going to catch them. So the guy on the front of the boat's doing his thing and he's doing everything according to the magazine. You might have to get a little ugly with it. You might be throwing a drop shot off the way back of the boat and just hoping that there's a fish out there. It's not like bass are always super predictable. So by doing so, you should be able to catch a few fish. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is it's simple. It's the same that applies to anything. It's hard work. Now, Brian knew he was a great co-angler. He actually fishes as a boater now. He was a great example of this. I watched him fish at the Forest Wood Cup where he actually won it as a co-angler and won $50,000, and he was just fishing his rear end off. He was casting faster than anybody I've ever seen. He was hitting at different angles than his boater. He was keeping an eye on what his boater's doing and trying to make sure he's doing something a little bit differently. He probably drank 50 Red Bulls that day. I don't know. Guys, that was 5 minutes. It went by so fast. You know, I would be happy to get into further details about this subject in the future, so let me know if that's something you're interested in. Hey, if you have any suggestions for next episode of 5 Minute Fish Talk, make sure to drop them in the comments below. If I choose your suggestion, I will feature your channel on that video when I make it. Last but not least, guys, have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you next time.